Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday tip class on oils that begin with the letter B. So this is a really fun series I'm having, and today we have quite a few oils to go through. I didn't realize how many oils actually start with the letter B. So we're going to dive right into all these great oils. So the first oil is basil. Now, in reading about basil, I'm realizing I don't utilize this oil enough at all. It has awesome properties and it does awesome things for the body. And it's really very refreshing. I think of diffusing basil more in the springtime with a citrus or a mint combined with it because it's very herbal smelling. It's also a really great one to cook with, which is great too. If you cook with, lemon basil. I've made lemon basil chicken with it before. It's been really good. So it's a great one to cook with. So you can use this oil all three ways. You can use it topically, aromatically, and internally. And it's really good at supporting proper adrenals in the body, right? So it's really supporting the adrenals. And the way that you would use that to support that is you can apply it just under the nose. You can apply it to the bottoms of the feet, the back of the neck, the forehead, and of course just on the adrenal area. And you would want to do that at least 2 to 3 times a day, right, to really support that area out. Also, it's very good for easing any ear pain that you might be experiencing, especially with little kids. This can be something that can be a chronic thing, that their ears hurt. And so what you can do is you can take basil and dilute it, and you can rub it on the front and on the back of the ear and even down the neck. Put a drop on a cotton ball and just place the cotton ball in the ear, and that is so helpful and supportive to the body when we're dealing with just stuff going on with our ears. It's not fun. Also, what's interesting is basil can help your sense of smell. So you can apply it under the nose, and you can put it on your toes to help to increase your sense of smell. Really, really funny. I didn't even know about that, and so when I read it, I thought, oh my gosh, that just seemed funny to me. It's also very good for people that deal with head tension, headaches, and dizziness. So when you're wanting to help with that, you'll want to apply it with wintergreen and actually apply it to the temples and the back of the neck for those that deal with maybe some just occasional bouts of dizziness or headaches, things like that. Also really good for mental fatigue and focus issues, okay? Another one, putting a drop right on your forehead, smelling it, which is one of the reasons why we would want to apply it under the nose, is because we'd want to smell it, right? And just diffusing it, breathing it in really helps to increase your focus and decrease your mental fatigue. Really good for nausea and cramping. So you can just apply this to the abdomen and it really eases discomfort there. It's really good for menstrual issues, really supporting what's going on during menstruation with maybe some occasional cramping, things like that. You can just apply it to the abdomen. Also the low back, I've done that before, and that's been really helpful. Really good for easing muscle spasms, and helpful in supporting proper levels of inflammation in the body as well. This is another really interesting one about basil. Really good for bug, snake, and spider bites. So you can make a spray bottle of this and spray it around your house, maybe on your baseboards, things like that. You can apply it to yourself. You can apply it to the bites, which is really helpful. So that's basil. It's one of the most universally applicable oils. Basil, from the Greek word meaning king. Ancient Greeks believed it opened the gateways to heaven. So that's the practical purposes of basil. Now, on the emotional side, basil is the oil of renewal. So the symptoms of adrenal exhaustion help identify the main moods that are improved with basil, primarily fatigue, low energy, being overwhelmed, and the inability to cope with life stressors. The smell of basil oil brings strength to the heart and relaxation to the mind. This oil is also excellent for states of nervousness, anxiousness, and despair. Wow, so really great. Basil oil is also helpful for recovery from negative habits. It gives hope and optimism to the tired soul. That's great. So the negative emotions that it really helps with is anxious, overwhelmed, drained, exhausted, and negative habits. Boy, that sounds like a lot of us moms, right? A little bit drained, anxious, overwhelmed, exhausted. So basil's probably something that we really need to use. It helps to promote energy, helps you to feel renewed, rejuvenated, rested, and strengthened. So that is basil. So next up on the list is bergamot. And bergamot is a beautiful oil. It's a citrus oil. And it actually is what makes Earl Grey tea. So if you just had regular black tea and you just dropped a drop of bergamot in there, you would essentially be making Earl Grey tea, which is really interesting. So bergamot is really good at supporting the body through any kind of addictions that would be taking place, addictive behaviors, things like that. It's really helpful when applied to the back of the neck and the bottoms of the feet, and even just diffused. Bergamot is a go-to for that. It's also very good for sleep issues, and this is one that I don't normally would just think of citrus oils for sleep issues, right? So when I think of sleep issues, I think more of lavenders and vetiver and cedar woods and things like that. But bergamot is very, very helpful. So this is something that you can diffuse, inhale, you can apply to your feet, really to help you get a restful sleep, helps you to relax. It's very good for stress, if you're feeling stressed, and you can apply it to the back of the neck, the bottoms of the feet. I think that goes hand in hand with the sleep factor. You know, anytime that we have an inability to fall asleep, oftentimes we're stressed, right? It's also really good for any kind of joint issues, supporting issues we have with our joints. You can just massage it right into the place of concern. Really good also for coughs. Now this is interesting because I actually often use a blend called Citrus Bliss for coughs. I'll just apply it to the chest, and bergamot is in there in that blend. So that's something that I'll apply with some of the other oils when we're dealing with just, you know, seasonal coughs. It's also very good for skin. So if you have acne issues, maybe dealing with occasional oily skin, you know, different kind of rashes that would happen on the body, bergamot applied topically can be really, really helpful. Also, if you have a loss of appetite, bergamot, just even smelling bergamot, can help to help you be hungry again, help to heighten your appetite. And it's really good for just that emotional balance. Something that I've used bergamot for is with our 3-year-old when she is feeling very just wound up and anxious or angry or things like that. I will combine bergamot and frankincense and Roman chamomile in a little roller bottle, and that has been really effective for her in the past. So that's just a little tip about, you know, using it with our kiddos in combination with those 3 oils. So on the emotional side, bergamot is the oil of self-acceptance. So bergamot relieves feelings of despair, self-judgment, and low self-esteem. It supports individuals in need of self-acceptance and self-love. Bergamot invites the individuals to see life with more optimism. Bergamot has a cleansing effect on stagnant feelings and limiting belief systems. Because of core beliefs of being bad, unlovable, and not good enough, they seek to hide behind a facade of cheerfulness. They may fear revealing their true thoughts and feelings. Bergamot's powerful cleansing properties generate movement in the energy system, which in turn brings hope. So the negative emotions that it deals with are despairing, low self-esteem, self-judgment, unlovable, and hopeless. And what it elicits to us in a positive way is it helps us to be self-accepting, optimistic, confident, hopeful, lovable, and good enough. So that is bergamot. Then we jump to birch. So I wanted to talk about birch because you actually can't buy birch. I love the smell of it. It's akin to like the winter greens and the peppermints and things like that. It smells like more similar to that. But the only time you can get birch is if you come to doTERRA's convention, and they only have it available in the convention kit. So if you're interested in getting birch, I suggest you start looking into coming with us to a convention in September. It's a great time, and you'll learn tons from the scientists and the doctors. It's a great, great weekend. So birch. Some of its top uses is helping to support connective tissue in the body and muscles. So this is one that you're going to want to use topically, right? So you're going to want to massage it in to help support those things. Really good for muscle pain, spasms, things like that. It's also good for temperature regulation. I like to use it sometimes with peppermint for that. And really good for cramps, really good at supporting also your tooth, like if you have tooth pain or something, you can apply it to the outside of the jaw. It's good for just really good muscular type issues. This is a go-to. Now I use it very sparingly, again, because I can only get it one time of year, right? So birch is, on the emotional side, the oil of support. Birch offers support to the unsupported. When a person is feeling attacked or unsupported in life, this oil offers courage to move forward alone. It helps individuals ground within their own center to find their source of inner support and strength. Learning to be flexible is important, but so is gaining a strong backbone. Birch offers support to the weak-willed to stand tall and firm in what they believe, especially in situations where one is at risk of being rejected, if they choose a different way. Birch lends its spirit of endurance to help individuals face trials of adversity so they may weather storms with the strength and conviction of a tree. So, negative emotions it supports is unsupported, alienated, fearful, weak-willed, overly flexible, and rejecting help. And what it helps to bring in us is a feeling of being more supported, firm, resolute, strengthened, grounded, connected, and receiving. Okay, so that is birch. Then we have black pepper. Now, black pepper only comes in a small 5 ml bottle, okay? And it smells exactly like black pepper. Like, exactly. It's really an interesting oil. And black pepper is excellent for digestive issues. So any kind of digestive issues that you're dealing with, black pepper is something that can be really helpful. You can apply it topically, put it in a veggie cap, and take it internally. Really good. It's also really good at supporting the respiratory system and just your lymph all over your body and helping it to drain, supporting that process, right? Good at helping the body to cleanse. It's also really good for circulation. Maybe your hands and your feet get cold often. Well, this is something that you can massage into your hands and feet to help to increase the circulation. It's good for, like I said, it's really good when used with Siberian fir for any kind of chest congestion that you'd be having, respiratory issues, things like that. It's good for a food flavoring. Just use it for cooking. Like if you have a recipe that calls for some like fresh cracked black pepper and you don't have any on hand, gosh, that black pepper oil can really serve you in that way, right? It's also really good for anxiety, in that you could just smell the bottle. It actually is a very calming. It's not as sharp smelling as you might think. It's actually very mellow and calming smell. It's also good for any kind of muscle spasms and cramps and things like that, just easing the feeling of them. It's actually good for people who smoke. You can actually put a drop on your finger and push it to the roof of your mouth, and it kind of gives you that sensation in your mouth, and it helps with people who smoke. So the emotional side of black pepper is the oil of unmasking. We don't talk about black pepper very much, and we don't really talk about the emotional side of black pepper that much either. So black pepper reveals the masks and facades used to hide aspects of the self. Since childhood, most individuals have been taught that some feelings and behaviors are good while others are not. So instead of seeking to understand seemingly inappropriate feelings and behaviors, they usually judge, condemn, and repress them. Individuals learn early on that to be loved and accepted, they must hide undesirable aspects of themselves behind a mask or facade. Black pepper invites individuals to get real by digging deep within the less understood parts of the self. Whether one's true motives and feelings are acknowledged or not, they continue to exist. The more these feelings are pushed down, buried, and repressed, the more they seek to make themselves known. If they are not honestly dealt with and acknowledged, they will often be expressed through erratic, compulsive, or addictive behaviors. So black pepper also reignites the soul fire, fueling motivation and high energy and hastening the healing process. So it really helps with emotional dishonesty, repressed emotions, feelings trapped, prideful, and superficial. And it helps us feel more emotionally honest, authentic, courageous, motivated, self-aware, and full of integrity. Okay? Black pepper. Go ahead and order it. It's a great, great oil to have. Next up is something I didn't like this oil at first, but now I've learned to really like it, and it's blue tansy. It's one of the newer oils that came out at convention this last September, and it really, it's really blue. It really is blue. And it smells, I think it kind of smells like blueberries. It's a very interesting smell. But anyways, this is how blue it is. You see my hand? Yeah, I just touched the top of it, and so it will stain the skin a little bit. I'll try and rub it in, and it starts to go away, right? So I use blue tansy on my face twice a day. I put it in my moisturizer, and I only use a tiny, tiny amount because the smell can be really overwhelming, but it's excellent for your skin, and I have just seen great benefit from using it. My skin is just more clear. Overall, the texture of my skin is better, so I just really attribute it to blue tansy. It's pretty great. So it's really helpful for just seasonal issues where maybe your eyes are watery and you're sneezing constantly and you have itchiness, things like that. It's really helpful for that, and you can just apply it to the bottoms of the feet to help with those kind of seasonal issues there. Like I said, it's very good for the skin. Even sunburns, it can be really soothing for the sunburn. It is good for any kind of pain. Sometimes you get this pain in your back and it shoots down your legs. You know, that the blue tansy massaged into that area can be really helpful and soothing. So it can be really good for really any pain that you would be experiencing and you need it to just be eased. You can reach for your blue tansy. It's also good for respiratory issues. So if you are when you're very active, you get very, very short of breath, blue tansy can be your aid, and you can just apply it to your chest and smell it from the bottle. And it's really nice. Blue tansy is a great one to combine with like eucalyptus and peppermint and ones like that, especially for respiratory issues. It's good for some headaches, even headaches and toothaches. Sometimes those things are related, right? Anytime that we have an issue going on in our mouth with a tooth or something painful, that can give you a slight headache. And so you can use the blue tansy just massaged in to temples, into the spot of concern, things like that. It's also very good for the stomach. I didn't know that. Applying it just around the belly button. Your belly would look a little blue. And here's another thing. When I'm using it on my face, I'm using it usually at night. And I used it the other night, and David walked in. He goes, "Why is your face blue?" And it was a slight tint, and it goes away within probably at least 5 to 10 minutes or so. But just be mindful of that. Don't put blue tansy and lotion all over your body and go wear a tank top. Everyone will think you're blue. Really good for actually as an insect repellent as well, for bug bites, things like that can be really helpful. So on the emotional side, blue tansy is the oil of inspired action. I love that, inspired action. So it supports those who resist taking action to change or transform their circumstances. It is especially helpful when individuals have become stagnant in their progression. It provides a kind of catalytic spark that overcomes the tendency to vacillate, avoid, or procrastinate. Blue tansy necessitates that individuals choose to take the helm of their life. It also encourages individuals to live in alignment with the whisperings of their inner voice, prompting them to make necessary changes. When an individual represses these messages, they often feel lethargic, drained, apathetic, sluggish, and exhausted. Blue tansy invites individuals to take the initiative to reclaim the life they dream of. So it really supports procrastinating, resisting change and inner guidance, uninspired, exhausted, lethargic, apathetic, and self-sabotage. And it helps promote feelings that are inspired, gives initiative, committed, responsive, energized, motivated, purposeful, and responsible. So that's a pretty intense emotional side to that oil, right? Okay, let's move on to some blends. So grounding blend, which is balance, right? Balance is a go-to. It's one that we use daily, and we use it for emotional support. So this is only for topical and aromatic use. And actually, this balance is already diluted fractionated coconut oil, so it's safe to use right out of the bottle. But I oftentimes will put it in any of the emotional blends that I'm using in my roller bottles and things like that. So if I'm using Serenity, I always put a few drops of balance in there as well. If I'm using Elevation for uplifting, I'm always putting balance in there as well. Okay? So it's really good for stress and anxiety. It is grounding. These are tree oils. And just like a tree is firmly rooted in the ground and its roots go down, no matter what happens, the wind is blowing, that tree stays firm. And that's what it does for our body. So it really helps to balance out stress in the body. So when we use balance first and then we use other essential oils along with it, those oils can really support us even more because they're not having to work against some stress that's happening in our body, right? Because the balance really helps to balance it. It's good for jet lag and travel anxiety. So if you have anxiety getting on planes or, in the car or whatever you're traveling to, grab your balance, smell it from the bottle, put it on the back of your neck, even on your chest, that you can smell it from your nose. Really good. Good for mood swings, stress. So this is, talking about mood swings, this is really good for toddlers. Really good. Definitely don't want to go through the toddler years without a bottle of balance or a few more bottles, right? Because you'll have to buy it a lot. Really good for anger and rage. Helpful there, just calming the emotions, good for meditation, all of those things. So it's definitely one we use often with, all the emotions flying around in our home. So it obviously is the oil of grounding. So grounding blend is primarily a combination of tree oils and roots. Tree oils trees live in the present moment. They are not in a hurry, and they are stable. Grounding blends soft energy is excellent for calming overactive children who have difficulty settling down. It's also a wonderful remedy for those who need to reconnect with their roots. Grounding blend strengthens a connection with the lower body and with the earth. These connections are especially important when the upper faculties have been overused due to excessive thinking, speaking, or spiritual activity. So that is our grounding blend. Great oil. We use it all the time. David even uses it as cologne and aftershave sometimes. So it's really great. Next up, we have Breathe. Breathe. I've been using this one all day. This is respiratory support. Okay. I will wake up in the morning. We've been waking up just a little bit stuffy, a little congested. And so I'll just put a few drops right on my chest and rub it in. So helpful, so helpful. Or just even breathing it from the bottle. I taught Pilates today, and so I did that before I had a client, and I even rubbed it on the back of my neck too. And it was just, I felt the cooling of the peppermint in this blend. It was really very, very helpful in that area. I also really like to do this before I exercise. Because it helps to open up the airways. And if I'm breathing better, then I'm going to be able to get a better workout in, right? So it's really good for any kind of breathing issues, whether it's seasonal or whether it's something that, you whenever you are active and moving and exercising, you have a hard time breathing, this is the go-to, right? For coughs, anything like that. Also, even sleep issues. If you can't breathe, you're not going to sleep, right? Snoring. Dab a little bit on the end of your nose. Put it in the diffuser by your bed. Very, very helpful oil. So, the emotional side of the respiratory blend, it's the oil of breath. So, respiratory blend addresses the inability to let go of grief and pain. Individuals in need of respiratory blend struggle to breathe and literally feel suffocated by sadness. The lungs and air passages become constricted, preventing air and emotion from releasing. The root of this condition is feeling unloved. Individuals grieve the love they never received. They often shut down due to fear, not knowing whether the love they need will be there. They distrust whether it's safe to open and take in life. Respiratory blend encourages individuals to release grief and sadness and to receive genuine love and healing. So this is a really powerful oil on many different accounts and many different levels. Okay. Then we have Soothing Blend, which is Deep Blue. And Deep Blue comes in an already diluted touch roller, as well as the oil. It comes in a 5 ml bottle that's not diluted. Okay, so this is a really helpful oil. It's called the Soothing Blend, and it is great for easing any muscular pain that you would be having. So it's kind of my go-to for headaches. So I'll rub it on my temples, back of my neck. It's my go-to for easing the back pain that I have from carrying lots of kids around and taking care of our house. It helped me so much during my pregnancies. It was a tremendous help in that area. It's even helped, sometimes my jaw gets very sore, and I will just rub Deep Blue along my jawline and in the front of my ear and in the back of my ear, and it really helps to ease any tension that I'm dealing with in that area. And it's really, really helpful for people that deal with pain in their hands, maybe in their knees or their feet, the bottoms of their feet. Great massage oil. So if you have a massage therapist, this is definitely an oil I recommend you take to them so they can use it on you during your massage. Very, very helpful oil, okay? Really helps also to support proper inflammation in the body, and that's something that we always need to be focusing on, okay? So the emotional side of Soothing Blend, it's the oil of surrendered pain. So Soothing Blend is generally used for physical pain, but it can also assist individuals who are resisting or avoiding the emotions that underlie their physical pain. It offers strength to face emotional wounds, allowing the wounds to surface for transformational and healing. This blend can teach individuals how to be the observer of their painful experiences rather than over-identifying with them. When individuals suffer from intense emotional or physical pain, it is common for them to act irrationally or lose their head. Soothing Blend can support the mind in staying cool and collected, regardless of the emotional turmoil or physical pain one may be in. In this way, they maintain mental clarity and in the face of danger or pain. So that is all of the oils that start with the letter B. Lots of them today. If you haven't used some of these, then I suggest that you put them on your LRP or order them, or maybe they're just sitting in your oil cabinet. Pull it out and use it for some of the things that I talked about today. And if you've got questions, I'm of course happy to answer them as well. All right, you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday. Bye.